Imagine losing your life savings, not to a stock market crash, but to a hurricane. In Florida, this nightmare is becoming a reality for thousands. We're not just talking about storm damage, though. The real threat is far more insidious, lurking beneath the sunny surface of the Florida dream. This is about a growing crisis that's impacting not just homeowners, but the entire American economy. Skyrocketing insurance rates, driven by climate change, are making the cost of living unbearable for many. But that's just the beginning. What if I told you that the dream of owning a home in the Sunshine State could actually trap you in a financial vortex? Why are these hidden costs so important for understanding the bigger economic picture? And what does it mean for you, even if you don't live in Florida? Stick around, because the answers might shock you. Okay, so we've established that something is seriously wrong in Florida's real estate market, but it's time to get specific. Let's dive into the heart of the matter, the insurance crisis. You see, Florida's unique geography makes it prone to hurricanes, and with climate change, these storms are becoming more frequent and severe. This new reality has sent shockwaves through the insurance industry. Home insurance premiums aren't just rising, they are skyrocketing, with the average cost going up by almost 40% in 2023 alone. But it gets worse. Major insurance companies are actually pulling out of Florida altogether, leaving homeowners with fewer options. And those that remain are charging astronomical rates. One resident, Karen Shipman, shared that she no longer knows if she can keep her home, as the cost of living has become unbearable. Even if you can still get insurance, get ready for horror stories of companies requiring new roofs on homes that are less than 10 years old just to get coverage. We're talking about people having to shell out $15,000 or more just to make their homes insurable. Now, this isn't just a Florida problem. The insurance industry relies on something called reinsurance, where companies share risks. So these rising costs in Florida, they're like a ripple effect impacting insurance markets across the country. What happens when the cost of insuring a home becomes as much as the mortgage itself? This crisis is a huge red flag. So the insurance crisis is bad enough, but it's not the whole story. Now, we need to talk about climate change's devastating one-two punch to Florida's real estate market. First, there's the obvious. Sea levels are rising. This isn't some far-off threat. It's happening now, and it's eating away at Florida's coastline. Coastal properties that were once prime real estate are now facing the very real prospect of being underwater in the not-so-distant future. But it's not just beachfront homes at risk. We're seeing increased flooding in inland areas, too, as drainage systems struggle to cope with more intense rainfall and rising water tables. This means that even if you're miles from the ocean, your property value could be impacted. On top of all this, homeowners and communities are facing massive costs for things like seawalls, elevated roads, and improved drainage systems to adapt and prepare for more extreme weather. And guess who's likely to foot that bill? You guessed it, the taxpayer, and especially homeowners through special assessments and increased taxes. Climate change isn't just an environmental issue, it's a financial one, and it's hitting Florida's real estate market hard. The dream of owning a piece of paradise is quickly turning into a costly gamble. It's a gamble where the odds are increasingly stacked against you. But wait, there's more. This isn't just about the environment or weather patterns. It is about basic infrastructure, and that's where we're headed next. Alright, we've seen how climate change and insurance are creating a perfect storm for homeowners. Now let's talk about the next big problem. Florida's infrastructure is under immense pressure. This isn't as flashy as hurricanes or floods, but it's just as critical. Florida's population has exploded in recent decades. More people means more strain on things like roads, bridges, water systems, and sewage treatment plants. And here's the kicker. Much of this infrastructure is aging, built decades ago for a much smaller population. It's like trying to run a modern city on technology from the 1970s. Now, keeping this infrastructure running, let alone upgrading it to meet the needs of a growing population, costs a fortune. And guess who gets to pay for that? That's right, the residents. We're seeing a surge in special assessments, which are basically extra taxes levied on homeowners for specific projects like road repairs or new sewer lines. These assessments can add thousands of dollars to your annual property tax bill, and they could be a nasty surprise if you're not prepared for them. As Florida's infrastructure continues to age and the population keeps growing, these costs are only going to go up. This puts even more financial pressure on homeowners, and it can also impact property values. After all, who wants to buy a home in an area with crumbling infrastructure and sky-high special assessments. It's another hidden cost that's making the Florida dream increasingly unaffordable. Next, we will take a closer look at the tax burden in Florida and how it adds to this unfolding crisis. We talked about insurance, climate change, and infrastructure, all massive issues impacting homeowners. Now, let's peel back another layer and uncover the hidden tax burden that's making things even worse. At first glance, Florida seems like a tax haven, especially with no state income tax, as pointed out by real estate advisor Alex Mendel. But don't let that fool you. The reality is that property taxes in Florida can be a significant financial burden. Property taxes are calculated based on the assessed value of your home, and these values can vary wildly depending on location. While it is true that they are generally in line with the national average, in high-demand areas, property taxes can be substantial. Plus, there's something called the homestead exemption, which can reduce the taxable value of your primary residence. Sounds good, right? Well, it is, but it can also create a false sense of security. When a home changes ownership, the assessed value can jump significantly, leading to a much higher tax bill for the new owner. That's exactly what happened to one homeowner who bought his home in 2001 and ended up paying almost 10 times more in property taxes when he sold it more than 20 years later. Beyond that, many planned communities, which are common in Florida, come with hefty HOA fees. These fees can cover things like landscaping, amenities, and security, but they can also add hundreds or even thousands of dollars to your monthly expenses. In addition, you might also have community development district fees, which are imposed by developers to cover the cost of infrastructure in new communities. It is another expense that can really add up over time. So, while Florida might seem like a tax paradise on the surface, the reality is far more complex, adding another layer of financial strain for homeowners. But this is not just about the individual homeowner. This is also about how rapid development has long-term consequences, and that is exactly what we are going to get into next. So, we've established that Florida's real estate market is facing some serious financial challenges, but there's another crucial piece of this puzzle, the development dilemma. Florida's rapid growth, while seemingly good for the economy, has created a whole new set of problems. Rampant development has taken a toll on the state's delicate ecosystems. Wetlands have been drained, natural habitats have been destroyed, and the strain on natural resources is becoming increasingly evident. Take water, for example. Florida's population boom has put a massive strain on the state's water supply. This overuse, coupled with saltwater intrusion into the aquifer, is creating a water scarcity issue that could have major implications for the future. And it's not just about having enough water to drink. Water scarcity can impact everything from agriculture to tourism, two of Florida's biggest industries. Then there's the debate over growth management. How do you balance the need for economic development with the need to protect the environment and maintain a good quality of life? It's a complex issue with no easy answers, and it's one that Florida is grappling with right now. The decisions made today about development will have long-lasting consequences for the state's economy, its environment, and its residents. Unchecked growth might seem like a good thing in the short term, but it can lead to long-term problems that are far more difficult and costly to solve. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It is about the quality of life for Floridians. And it goes beyond the state's borders, impacting the entire nation, which we will explore next. We've seen how the challenges facing Florida's real estate market are impacting homeowners, but the implications extend far beyond the Sunshine State. This is not just a Florida problem. It's a national issue with the potential to affect the entire U.S. economy. Think of it this way. Florida's real estate market is a significant part of the national economy. When it's healthy, it contributes to economic growth, creates jobs, and boosts consumer spending. But when it's struggling, as it is now, the ripple effects can be felt nationwide. For example, a major housing crisis in Florida could have serious consequences for banks and financial institutions. If homeowners start defaulting on their mortgages in large numbers, it could trigger a wave of foreclosures, similar to what happened in 2008, but potentially worse due to climate and insurance factors that didn't exist before. This could destabilize the financial system and make it harder for people across the country to get loans. The crisis could also impact other industries. Tourism, one of Florida's biggest economic drivers, could take a hit if the state becomes less attractive to visitors due to environmental concerns, high costs, or negative publicity. A slowdown in tourism would mean job losses and reduced revenue for businesses, not just in Florida, but across the U.S. The current situation could also lead to decreased consumer spending, as Floridians tighten their belts to cope with rising housing costs, leaving less money for other goods and services. This could contribute to a broader economic slowdown nationwide. So, you see, the problems facing Florida's real estate market are not just a local concern. They have the potential to create a domino effect, impacting everything from the financial system to tourism to consumer spending. It's a wake-up call that the economy is interconnected and that problems in one area can quickly spread to others. But amidst all these challenges, are there any solutions? That's the crucial question we'll tackle next. Alright, we've painted a pretty bleak picture of the situation in Florida, but it's not all doom and gloom. Now, let's focus on solutions and strategies. What can be done to address this crisis and protect homeowners? First, homeowners can take steps to mitigate their risks. This includes carefully researching insurance options, even if choices are limited. It might also mean investing in home improvements that can reduce insurance premiums, like storm shutters or a fortified roof. Also, homeowners need to be aware of potential special assessments and factor those into their budget. On a larger scale, there are policy changes that could make a big difference. Reforming the insurance industry to ensure that homeowners have access to affordable coverage is crucial. This might involve creating a state-backed insurance program or implementing stricter regulations on insurance companies. Addressing the issue of climate change is also essential. Investing in infrastructure that can withstand the impacts of rising sea levels and extreme weather is a must. This includes things like improving drainage systems, building seawalls, and elevating roads. Also, promoting sustainable development practices that protect the environment and conserve natural resources is paramount. Stricter building codes and flood management advancements, as mentioned by author Dutch Mendenhall, can make properties more resilient. When it comes to real estate investment, informed decision-making is key. Buyers need to be aware of all the potential costs associated with owning a home in Florida, not just the purchase price. This includes doing thorough research on insurance, property taxes, HOA fees, and potential special assessments. It might also mean considering properties in less vulnerable areas or opting for newer homes built to more stringent codes. While the challenges are significant, there are solutions, but it will take a concerted effort from homeowners, policymakers, and industry leaders to address these issues and create a more sustainable future for Florida's real estate market. So, what have we learned, and where do we go from here? So, we've uncovered the harsh realities behind the Florida dream. It's a far cry from the sunny paradise often portrayed. We've seen how a combination of factors, a broken insurance market, the undeniable effects of climate change, infrastructure woes, a complex tax system, and the development dilemma are creating a perfect storm for homeowners. These hidden costs are not just impacting individual finances, they're threatening the very foundation of Florida's economy, with ripple effects across the nation. The key takeaway? Knowledge is power. Understanding these challenges is the first step towards navigating this complex landscape. Is the Florida dream still attainable? And at what cost? That's a question each individual must answer for themselves. But one thing is clear, the rules of the game have changed. And if you think this is just a Florida problem, think again. Economic challenges have a way of spreading, just like the issues highlighted in our recent video, China's rare earth ban. Can the US tech sector survive? Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next video. Give this video a thumbs up and check out China's rare earth ban right now. It's a must-watch to understand the interconnectedness of today's global economy.